It's a few blocks south of Friday night's fire that destroyed a building at the Main Street Mall in Union. Steve Hayslip is at the fire scene. He was just moments away when the alarm went out. Steve, bring us up to... It's a few blocks south of Friday night's fire that destroyed a building at the Main Street Mall in Union. Steve Hayslip is at the fire scene. He was just moments away when the alarm went out. Steve, bring us up to date.
Well, Alex, we arrived really before water was even being put on this vacant.
It's a few blocks south of Friday night's fire that destroyed a building at the Main Street Mall in Union. Steve Hayslip is at the fire scene. He was just moments away when the alarm went out. Steve, bring us up to date.
Well, Alex, we arrived really before water was even being put on this vacant two-story structure, and when we showed up, smoke was just billowing out of this building. This is a vacant two-story structure believed to be built around the 1900, maybe 1910 era. That's why firefighters are concerned that the walls may have come down because smoke was just pouring out of this, and the flames were pouring out of it. And we're going to go ahead and interview one of the firefighters still on the scene. This is Lieutenant WREG1f. He's down here at the front row, and he's putting, along with some of these other firefighters, some of the water on it. Lieutenant WREG1f, how difficult is this? What are your concerns right now?
What are our concerns right now? We think we pretty much got it now. We just got to stay back away from the walls and make sure nothing don't fall on us.
Is it a problem in that this building is so old, there might be that fear that the walls could come down?
Probably so, because all these buildings up and down Main Street are kind of brittle and falling apart anyway. So,
what do you look for to see whether or not that wall is going to come down on you?
well, you can see cracks in it around the windows and over the doors and stuff. And you can watch the top of the wall start sagging here and there. Once the roof falls away and up there like that, there's nothing to hold it.
This is a two-alarm fire and about 75 firefighters on the scene. You look like you've got it pretty much under control at this point, you think?
I think so. I think all the fire's just about out. We just got a bunch of stuff burning in the bottom now.
Okay, Lieutenant WREG1f, thank you for being with us. We appreciate it, and best of luck this afternoon. As I said, about 75 firefighters are here. That includes the command staff. They're located just over here to the side. You can see some of the big equipment that has already been moved in. They've got the command center here. They've got several pumpers as well as snorkel units. Main advance is where this is happening, and obviously this intersection is shut off and will be for some time until they get this thing under control and the smoke begins to clear. Alex?
Steve, right now, do they have any idea what caused this fire?
Not at this point. The investigation is still underway. I talked to Fire Director Charles Smith a few moments ago on First News, and he said that it's going to be probably a couple of hours before they determine exactly what started the fire. Some of the merchants in the area tell me it could be vagrants because they happen to come into some of these vacant buildings. This building has been vacant for about 12 years. Some of the merchants feel like possibly some vagrants may have started this fire, perhaps accidentally.
And any word, Steve, on any firefighters or anybody else being hurt?
Nobody hurt. That's the good news out of all of this. Some firefighters have been resting near some of the ambulances that are on the scene. That's just to catch their breath to go back in because the smoke is just unbelievable. It's billowing out, as you can see behind me, and the heat when we arrived, Alex, was intense.
Okay, Steve, thank you very much. Steve Hayslip reporting live from the South Main Historic District. Jerry.
Main and Vance, where a downtown building is still burning this afternoon. Steve Hayslip's been on the scene for several hours, and Steve, it looks a little different now than it did a couple of hours ago, doesn't it?
Boy, it sure does, Jerry, but you can tell the smoke is still billowing all over this intersection. Main and Vance is still sectioned off. 75 firefighters have been here throughout the afternoon. Troy Malone there is still pouring water on this building. Now what this is, it's a two-story building, but it does have a basement. It's been a vacant structure now for the past 10 or 12 years. In the past, this old building has been everything from an old hotel to apartment complexes. But this afternoon, it can best be described as one of the most spectacular fires the city has seen in a long time. Flames billowed out of the two-story building with heat so intense it melted nearby street lights and broke windows across the street. Memphis snorkel units and pumpers arrived within seconds to begin dousing the massive flames.
Once we got into operation, we made sure we kept the fire confined to that building and made sure that the firefighters stayed out the initial collapse zone. So if this building collapses, which we suspect it will, then we don't want to get hurt.
People began gathering for several blocks to watch the spectacular blaze.
We saw smoke coming out of. My girl came out to empty the trash, and she said, "Miss Barbara, I smell smoke." We came out, we saw smoke coming up out of the building.
This is my first time in Memphis, so they put on a pretty good show to welcome me.
I saw the smoke down there by the trolley, and it scared me, so I had to come down here and look at it.
The building, which has been vacant for more than 10 years, was about to undergo a restoration. Today, the owner says his dreams are up in smoke.
It was going to be a fun thing. Going to hell right now, though.
Got to be disappointing to see this.
It hurts.
Back live. We are back live here on the scene of the fire, second alarm blaze. Troy Malone still dousing the front of the building here. Now, we arrived on the scene at about the same time the first firefighting crew unit did, and I tell you what, I've done stories, Jerry, for many, many years on the Memphis Fire Department, but to see them arrive as quickly as they did today, it was unbelievable. Snorkel units like the one you're looking at right there, they arrived here literally within about 2 minutes. They had several units on the scene just immediately, and I really thought the walls of this old building were going to come down, but they did not, at least not yet. That is still a very real concern. We are just outside of where the where the wall would fall, and that's what the concern is now for Troy and firefighters that are basically watching the perimeter. Jerry?
Steve, you're going to beat the fire department. You got to get there awfully quick. I don't know. Maybe I'm jumping the gun here, but, you know, there was a fire, a multi-alarm fire at Union in the mall just Friday night. Is anybody maybe asking some questions about the conditions of some of these buildings on the South Main area? That's
certainly going to be a concern for the next few days. I'm sure people are going to start asking a lot of questions. We haven't heard much about it right now because they're too busy trying to take this thing down and make sure there's not a problem with the walls falling down, but that is going to be something they're looking at. As far as what Troy is looking at right now, he's trying to make sure that the wall does not come down. He'll be looking for smoke coming through the bricks, things like that. If he sees that, that's an indication that the wall might come down, and they're going to have to move this perimeter back a little bit, but it's obviously a concern, Jerry.
But right now, one important fact, nobody's been hurt, right?
Nobody's been hurt. Firefighters, in fact, you see a lot of these cups around here. Firefighters have been drinking a lot of fluid to try to make sure that they stay refreshed as best they can, but no injuries, no one inside the building, and the firefighters, no injuries there as well.
They probably welcomed that rain that moved through town earlier this afternoon. That's Steve Haislip reporting live from the scene of the fire at Vance and Union. Thank you very much, Steve. Pam?
Memphis Mayor